Welcome back, Guardian. Today we're going to be going over my favorite Titan build in all of Destiny 2 PvE. You may know it as the Banger. I've made a lot of updated versions over it, but it does involve the Doomfang Pauldrons, and there's a ton of tests that I want to go over to explain exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing in this build. So let's start it off with the Subclass Tree first that I recommend, while we give the Beast Squad their shout out. Resupply is my favorite perk mid-tree. It allows recovery and it also allows ability recharge, and I'm also using my Void Wall grenade, which we'll talk about right here. I always recommend the Void Wall in speed kill combat because it has a chance to mark multiple targets, and if they don't walk into it at first, there's always that second chance that they can walk into it, as you'll see right here with this grenade. I throw it out, it misses all the ads, but you'll watch my health recovery get chipped away and then go right back up right there because some ad walked into it and then got killed. Now I'm going to DPS this ogre and walk up and knock him down just enough to where when I hit him with that void detonator, it's going to cause him to explode and also give me health regen, and then these unknowns that can happen are land inside this trap. You're seeing the pre-Masterwork version, so I'm at a 6 recovery. The Masterwork version is going to be at a 7 recovery, and then because of where my tier is for my grenade, I have my grenade back. That's then going to proc the Hive armaments. Before we jump into all this, I do want to address a comment that I had in case other people have the same train of thought. Although I'm 100% sure this is just a troll account, it's obviously a fake account that was created 1 month ago, but this person says, I'm pretty annoyed that you keep alienating your audience by making builds with outdated gear and mods. Okay, first of all, I haven't made a ton of outdated gear builds because the last build I made using Hive mods was during Shadowkeep, which was 100% relevant because there's a ton of Hive there. Second of all, just because it's outdated or old doesn't mean you still can't go get this armor. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's crappy gear. Depending on what activity you're doing, such as Savathun Song, you would be an idiot to not use Hive repurposing or Hive armaments or Hive barrier or Hive invigoration when it's a Hive heavy activity with nothing but Hive in it. He then goes on to say that it's by no means practical to be able to build these anymore, as those mods are no longer available. They're still as available now as they always have been. All you gotta do is regular menagerie and all these mods can drop. You can also check that on Reddit. It confirms 100% people are getting Hive armaments from regular menagerie, but you can do heroic to guarantee a mod drop if you'd rather do it that way. So there's 3 chances per Guardian per week to do regular menagerie, and the same chance to do heroic menagerie to still be able to grind these same mods. It's a grind game. You have to put your time in, you gotta put your work in to get the stuff that you want to make the best builds the game has to offer for the activity that you're gonna be building it out for. He then said the Hunter build wasn't even a build, it was just a combo of high mods with class ability regen. Well, guess what? If you don't build your stats out right, like I did in that video, to get that 5-second dodge, to go with your enhanced bomber, to go with your impact induction, to then go with the subclass tree, if you don't have all that tailored right, it's not going to function the same. So the build is put together in a specific order so that it functions exactly how you need it for that activity. There was no room for Dawn armor mods to put on that, because if I put any Dawn armor mods on, it sacrifices 2 armor pieces, which I need 1 for Hive armaments, I need 1 for Hive repurposing, I needed 1 for Hive invigoration, I needed 1 for the enhanced bomber, I needed to put the mods on to get my stats built up right. All that stuff was done in a correct order and had no room for Dawn mods. Some exotics will have room for those Dawn mods, and then some do not have room for those Dawn mods. So just because Season of Dawn is out doesn't mean it's going to be the better choice for an activity that you're doing, such as Savathun Song. That build is perfect. You can summon grenades at your will by using the stats and the mods on that armor. You can also go invisible whenever you need to go dump the ball in those ball deposit stations. You have total control over all the ads with that 5-second dodge that you get by having the 7 mobility with a lightweight weapon, giving that 10 mobility dodge recharge. So you can't just throw all this stuff on and be like, this is a build. You have to tailor it and do tests to know all this stuff is going to work and revolve around each other. Everything on that build is tailored perfectly to make it perform the way that it does. So you just can't throw Hive mods on and say that's the build. And that's the same way with the Dawn armor mods. You can't just throw a Dawn armor mod and say that's a build. You got to have your stats balanced right to go with the mods, to go with the perks on your armor, to go with the mods on your armor, to make it all come together as one total build. If I would have put any Dawn armor mods on that Hunter build yesterday, it would have completely broken everything on that build, and nothing that those Dawn armor mods offered would have been better than Hive armaments or Hive repurposing or all those mods that you can still go grind and get in the game. Sorry that you didn't like the build, but it's 100% perfect for the Savathun Song or any Hive related activity for that specific exotic that I was using. If it would have been a different exotic, it may have had room for Dawn armor mods, but for that exotic that I was using, the Frosty E5, and for what I needed for this Nightfall, it had no room for it at all, and that's why I completely left it out, and I only build for the exact things that I need for the activity that I'm doing. When it comes to building, there's always specific rules that I follow. What activity am I doing? What encounters am I going to be facing in the activity? what exotic am I going to be using, and how can I optimize that exotic with the mods, the perks, and my stats to make it the most functional for that activity and to be utilized most often. In that hunter build yesterday, there's nothing in that build you could change to make it better. It's 100% legit for everything that you'll encounter or face in that entire activity, from going invisible to have control over ads, to get out of there, to recover with that 8 recovery that I had on it, to go invisible to dump the balls in that ball station, to get your grenades back from busting the champion shields, or busting any Hive shield, to get the heavy ammo, 5-second dodge, to then go with the enhanced bomber, to then go with the impact induction. If you hit anybody with your smoke, it also procs that. So everything on that build 100% function for that activity, and is the best Hive build you can have for a hunter because of its recharge rates and how I put it all together. It's not just randomly put together, it's put together on purpose to make it function at its most optimal state. But anyways, some people just don't get building in this game, and I wanted to address that in case there's any more that don't understand. Because something might be old doesn't mean that it's irrelevant anymore. And like I said, it's not like you gotta go do a raid to get Hive mods. You simply just gotta launch them in Azure and farm it. It's that simple. It's not like I'm having people go out and do Vex raids or whatever just to get these mods. They're really easy to get, and I would never make a build that was impossible to build. And this build is not impossible to build. Neither is this Titan build we're gonna talk about today, which is gonna be using Dawn mods, by the way. But anyways, let's get into this build, go over a few tests, and I'll explain why I have the stats balanced the way that I do, and how to balance them for the pace that you're trying to be going for speed kill combat. Before we jump into the stats, I just want to mention that these are the pre-masterworked stats you're going to be seeing. I'll explain all of this as it goes along. So it shows right now I'm at 6 plus traction. I am going to be using traction. After I masterwork it, it's going to be 7 plus traction. So you're going to have an 8 mobility Titan, and then if you have a lightweight weapon, you'll be at a 10 mobility Titan. The reason that I opted for 7 recovery is because of the healing properties with the mid-tree void. 7 recovery is still perfect with it. And then for my grenade, it shows it's at 75, but I don't have enough energy for my leg piece to put a grenade mod on, so it's going to be at 85. And then once I masterwork all the armor, it's going to be a tier 9 grenade. So you're going to have 8 mobility, 7 recovery, and then a tier 9 grenade. And this is the reason that I choose the tier 9 grenade with this test right here. If you ever watched my 2-man solo heroic menagerie when we did the ogre battle, I actually did this same test before I did it to make sure that I had my grenade tier set exactly the way that I have it. This is a tier 7. You'll see that I get 3 shield tosses. Now I'm going to go to a tier 8, and the reason this is so important is because you want to get that 4th shield toss by the time the meter ends. It's going to go up and down, during combat, because you're going to be hitting enemies with your shield, and the Doomfang procs to where when you hit enemies with your shield, it's going to create super energy to keep your super lasting a lot longer. And tier 9 is really where you want to be with it to balance the rest of your stats the way that they are. So you have to pick and choose what kind of stats you're going to have with this build to optimize it the best way that you can. You'll see that tier 8 also allowed 3 shield tosses. Now I'm going to go to the tier 9 grenade. Now if I was to do a tier 10 grenade, that's going to sacrifice my recovery to either go to a 6 or my mobility to go to a 7, because I'm going to need to waste mod slots to create a tier 10 grenade. But 9's perfect because I can still get that 4th shield toss, which equals a whole lot of time in combat when you're bashing that shield against enemies or throwing the shield. The difference of going from a tier 8 to a tier 9 can be around 15 seconds or even more at times. More super energy to keep going and last a lot longer. Here's the tier 10 grenade. It's also going to allow the 4th shield toss with barely more energy than the tier 9 allowed. So having tier 10 is kind of irrelevant for me. It's going to be a 37-second grenade at tier 9, a 32-second grenade at tier 10, but I have the mid-tree properties creating ability recharge, so I'm going to have grenades all the time with this build, as well as a health recover property with that tier 7 recovery. When it comes to hard tier activities, having that 15 seconds or longer for your super to keep lasting really means a lot, and I'll go more into detail. But first, let's go into the stats and the armor and how it's all balanced perfectly where everything counts. Here we are with that outdated mod, the Hive armaments. This helmet's based all around the recovery to keep me up to that 7 recovery. I'm also using a rocket finder. That's really kind of your choice there, and that recovery mod. Of course, in this Nightfall, Hive armaments is going to be greatly appreciated because you're going to get so many grenades with this build on, and you're going to get so much heavy ammo because of the Hive armaments. It's a way better choice than anything that a Dawn armor mod can add for you, so I'm definitely going to be choosing it on my build. My ally got in my way for one of those rocket shots, but you'll see there that I procced the Hive armaments and was able to keep getting heavy ammo to keep throwing it down in that room. Now let's move on to the Doomfang Pauldrons. I'm definitely going to be re-rolling this for arc whenever we're able to change the affinity. I'm using 2 enhanced rifle loaders, but I'm not 100% sure that these even stack. It seems like I get faster reload when I use the enhanced rifle loader and then a scout rifle loader for my primary using the anti-barrier weapon. I'm not using the collection tab version, so your version might be different on this, but I'm using a mobility mod to build me up to that 8 mobility Titan, which having a fast mobile Titan is pretty insane for PvE combat. But back to the Doomfang Pauldrons, sometimes you can just save and add just to simply use the Doomfang Pauldron recharge rate. As you'll see right there, it jumps up quite a bit. Around 4 to 5 melees, you get your full super back. And then this situation right here, the PlayStation cut off 2 seconds of gameplay right here, but you can see how much longer my super lasts because of the tier 9 grenade. I'm actually using tier 9 throughout this entire gameplay video, but my recovery is at a 6 and my mobility is at a 7 because I don't have it all masterworked yet. But I wanted to get gameplay with that tier 9, but you see how much longer my super will last just because of that, and that's why I highly recommend achieving a tier 9 grenade with the Doomfang Pauldrons, because situations like this are really clutch when you can keep that super going just that much longer, especially if there's tons of ads around. I'm going to show you more situations with that tier 9 grenade in a little bit once we go over some more armor perks on the build where I can combine it with the armor perks, where I can talk about it all put together. Now let's talk about the Dawn armor mods, because with this build there is a room and there's really not a bad choice for this. However, I am going to be using high energy fire to give me around 20% bonus damage whenever I'm charged with light. But like I said, there's 3 options here that you can choose from. The one that I'm going with is high energy fire. The second option would be firepower. Throwing your grenade is basically equal to an impact induction. You can stack these on your build, but I don't have room to stack anymore because I need the other mods and the other pieces put together the way that they are. So I only have room for 1 Dawn armor mod piece to give me some kind of buff. Another one I recommend would be Protective Light. However, I don't have a void chest piece to put this on, which is another reason I'm going with the high energy fire. But I think that I actually like the high energy fire better than the Protective Light just for this specific nightfall, but it might change to Protective Light depending on another activity that I might be doing. But high energy fire is the one that I decided to go with because you can easily proc it and it stays active whenever you're shooting champions or even bigger targets or the boss or something like that. It'll stay active until you actually kill a target, so you can continuously get that bonus damage to keep proccing. The perk that I'm going with it is going to be Blast Radius. Rocket kills, getting 2 rocket kills basically will charge you with light to then proc the high energy fire, and then the high energy fire will go away once you kill that target. And I'm also using traction, and I need more energy to be able to put that discipline mod on it. That's going to give me that tier 9 grenade. I can't afford to use quick charge or anything like that here because quick charge costs 5 light, and I can only afford 3 to be able to put that grenade mod on and the traction. But there's tons of situations that'll play out like this throughout this entire nightfall because there's always a ton of ads that are stacked. So Blast Radius is always getting procced, and also when you add that with the Hive armaments to get plenty of heavy ammo, such as this situation right here that you're about to see, I keep proccing the high energy fire, and having that kind of bonus damage with a rocket launcher, especially situations like that, you can just yeet all these enemies dead and then throw the grenade, proc the Hive armaments to get plenty and tons of heavy ammo to go along with this. Like I was saying, I only have 2 armor pieces that I can afford to put the Dawn armor mods on because everything has to come together the way that it is to make this build fully optimized. Which now takes us to our final armor piece, the Mark. And back to what I was saying, I have no room for Dawn armor mods because Hive repurposing is way more valuable to get my grenade back every time I bust a shield. I'm also using Special Finisher to give me plenty of special ammo to go with Light Reactor to give me even more super energy, and then that mobility mod. So I have to have that perfect amount of energy to apply all those mod slots, and they outweigh anything that Dawn armor can give me. Such as right here, armaments right there and Hive repurposing back to back, plus the health from the mid-tree void, and then right here using Light Reactor to top my super off because I'm about to have the unstoppable champion and all the ogres that are about to come out. So it's important for me to choose Light Reactor instead of using something like Enhanced Ashes to Assets, which would cost me 4 energy, and then I wouldn't have enough room for the other perks on the armor. So it's all about choosing what gets most utilization, which is going to be Hive repurposing and also Light Reactor. Even if I would have had a grenade, there's no ads to hit Enhanced Ashes on, but there's tons of ads that I can hit Light Reactor on, which pays off just in time to give me my super for this unstoppable and all these ogres and all these ads with that tier 9 grenade and the health property that's going to let my super last an incredible amount of time. So again, back to that previous comment, it's all about perfect balance, perfect mobility, perfect recovery, perfect discipline rate, things they're going to be using in combat most often, armaments, Light Reactor, my rocket ammo finder, my reserves I'll eventually put on the chest piece, the traction, and since I have room left to use the Dawn armor mods, I have high energy fire, protective light, or firepower, whichever one I choose, to go with blast radius, since I'm always going to be using my rocket most often, and it's easy to get double kills to do the charge with light. So there's tons of possibilities outside of even the nightfall, such as this example right here doing a nightmare hunt. All these Hive is still relative in this part of the game as well, so even though a mod might be old, it's still going to make it a better option over most of the Dawn armor mods depending on the activity that you're doing. So I'm not going to build out for a current season armor when it makes no sense over other mods that are from previous DLCs. Hive repurposing here, Hive armaments here, all this stuff gets utilized over and over throughout an entire battle. Even the Scarlet Keep Nightfall, this build works wonders for that one as well. I mean, anything that there's Hive related on. Watch this sick combo of grenades and heavy ammo. You can't do this without the Hive mods. Grenade out, heavy ammo. Hive repurposing, grenade back. Grenade out again, heavy ammo, and health property from the mid tree. And I have half my grenade back just because of that. I'll do the same situation again. This time I'm actually going to be using the health property from the mid tree. Get my grenade back all over again, keep proccing that health. The wizard got its shield back, so I'm going to shoot it again, get my grenade back all over again to go shoot those down there and get more heavy ammo if I wanted to. Explosive rounds, splash around that corner to take that ad out. So over and over again, it's all about utilization and what makes the most perfect sense. But a build is all situational and it's all relevant to whatever you're going to be doing. And in Hive related activities, though it might be an outdated or older type of mod, you still can't beat Hive armaments or Hive repurposing or even Hive barrier if you wanted to use that. But like I said, there was room for this build to have on Dawn armor mods, which I'm going to show you this last situation here. Taking armaments, and I have the high energy fire procced right now from my charge with light. I'm going to use it right here, and watch how clutch this situation is. Another reason that I like the high energy fire, he's about to kill me, but because of that 20% bonus damage, it came in clutch right at the last second. Now watch how long my super's about to last, and again, why I recommend tier 9 grenade. I'm never going to just slap on a bunch of random stuff and call it an armor build. I'm going to take my time with it because this build is for me. I'm just making the video and sharing it, and I want myself to have on the best properties and the best perks and the best everything based on the data that I collect to make sure that I have the best run and gun build over anybody, because speed killing is where my heart is in Destiny, and making sure that I'm fastest at doing that basically, and the numbers prove themselves. I'm always hitting 300 plus kill numbers on this Savathun Song Nightfall, but always tripling or quadrupling or sextupling kill numbers on really any fire team that I'm ever on, and those skills involved, a build is what allows that most often. And you can see that my super is still going on, and it's the same reason that me and UTEPers were able to do the 2-man heroic menagerie for the ogre battle, and are still the only ones on console or PC that have ever 2-manned that activity, and it was all because of this Doomfang build and having that max tier grenade back before Shadowkeep. That was the only way that it could be done, and that's how I knew to get that tier 9 grenade, because it comes in clutch and it's still going on right now. You can see it's going to come back just in time to let me get off that ledge before that ogre melts me instantly, and I still have the high energy fire procced because I popped my super when it was still active, which is going to give me that bonus damage to still take out this unstoppable ogre. Even though I don't have an unstoppable weapon, I can just chill back here and hide from him, and that bonus damage is going to let me take him out just a little bit faster than as if I didn't have that on, and that's why I recommend the high energy fire. Not only that, because it's also a solar perk, and it also allows me to have rocket reserves or fusion reserves if I choose to go along with the high energy fire. And since protective light is void, it won't allow any kind of rocket or fusion reserves. And here's another clutch recovery situation with the mid tree, where I throw that grenade, then throw the rocket. I get my grenade back because of the Hive repurposing, and now we're going to go ahead and take out this champion using the Hive armaments. But anyways, thanks for tuning in and watching this Titan build video. Sorry that it kind of got a little bit longer than I intended, but when I got that comment, I didn't want people to think that I was trying to alienate them by putting on perks that anybody can farm out. But the numbers speak for themselves. Builds really do allow you to wreck even harder. Here's where you can screenshot this build. It'll be 8 mobility, 7 recovery, 9 discipline after you masterwork it, and you'll need to add that discipline mod to that leg piece. But always remember, this is a grind game. If you want to get a perfect build and balance your stats to perfection, you're going to have to farm out some good rolled gear to do that. And that's exactly what I did. I farmed the menagerie for I don't even know how long until I got the perfect rolled armor sets. I started off just using the armor just to put the mods on, and then over time I just kept grinding and kept grinding until I finally got the right kind of stats where they needed to go, so I could build back my mobility, my recovery, and get that tier 9 discipline grenade. I might use a different exotic for Hive activities and then balance it out a completely different way that pertains to that specific exotic. So it's always going to change depending on what exotic I have on and what I'm going to be doing. I mean, data is really all that I'm about and what I like to collect for my own self, and then I share that data. I mean, how many people didn't believe me when I said Traction added a +1 hidden mobility, for almost a year, and then people didn't realize resilience sucked. People didn't realize a lot of things, and then I started making video about the data, improving all this stuff, and that's what this channel is about. So those of you who support the time and the work put in, I highly appreciate you. B Squad, huge shout out, and I'll see you all in the next video next time.
In space.